Thinking about throwing away that used butter wrapper? Think again. Here's how you can turn trash into a handy kitchen tool. When you unwrap a new stick of butter, you might not think twice about tossing the wrapper in the trash. After all, what use could you possibly have for a greasy piece of paper? But as it turns out, you can reuse a butter wrapper in plenty of creative ways, starting with keeping your sliced bread soft and fresh.
What you eating?
A sandwich made with Clausen's bread. Want a bite?
Sure.
Think about it. Anytime you take the end piece of bread from the loaf, the slice behind is exposed to air, moisture, and bacteria. A butter wrapper, however, makes a perfect barrier between your remaining bread and the outside world. What's more, the residual butter helps the bread retain moisture, and it can even impart a bit of flavor. Of course, even with the help of a butter wrapper, you'll see the best results if you store your bread in a box, allowing it to stay cool, covered, and vented. A butter wrapper certainly won't do you any good if your loaf of bread is just sitting out on the counter at all times. That's not the only use a butter wrapper can offer, however. At the most basic level, butter wrappers aren't too different from parchment paper. One side is similar to regular paper, while the other side is slicker in order to prevent sticking. As such, butter wrappers can be used as an alternative to parchment paper in a pinch, and they work great for separating freshly baked pieces of bread. If you need to separate other foods for storage in the freezer, whether that's bread, cheesecake, or even cookies, butter wrappers work for this purpose as well. Because the greasy butter won't mix with water, you don't need to worry about ice crystals forming and resulting in your bread or other baked goods sticking to the paper. If you've made Rice Krispie cakes or frosted desserts, you'll likely need to layer them in a container for safekeeping. Stacking them on each other after baking will result in them forming into a single large block. Normally, you might use parchment paper to separate them, but if you don't have any on hand, you can also use butter wrappers. If you're baking bread or any other baked good, butter wrappers can be repurposed here too. Just as you might use a can of non-stick cooking spray to grease up a loaf pan, you can use a butter wrapper to do the trick instead. This is because the residual dairy left on the surface of the wrapper will work much like the cooking spray. This method imparts a nice buttery flavor that regular cooking spray may not offer.
Fattening.
It also gives you the ability to better control where all that grease ends up. As we've all experienced, non-stick spray can get everywhere, leaving the rims and outside of your cookware slick and oily. Alternatively, you can use butter wrappers to limit messes inside the pans. Whether you're baking bread, a cake, or muffins, you can line your cookware with butter wrappers, buttery side facing upward. This keeps the pan clean and non-stick, while also giving your baked goods a tasty, buttery finish. Just remember, while all butter wrappers should be food safe, chemical properties often change with heat, and it's likely that not every butter wrapper out there is able to withstand great amounts of heat without releasing toxic chemicals into your food. If you do plan to use butter wrappers in your baking, make sure to consult the manufacturer first. Of course, if you've been following a recipe that uses butter in any way, you're more than likely to have a fresh wrapper on hand to grease the pan with. That said, you can also save your old wrappers and build a kind of stockpile. Just be sure to keep them sealed in a bag or airtight container, and then store them in the fridge or freezer. No matter how little remains, that residue butter is still butter, and it can be put to any number of uses. Just make sure you keep it fresh in the same way you would a whole stick.